Uh, so for those of you that haven't been on the Research Cafe before, the Research Cafe is a monthly session that we do to bring up new things about research, assistance with grants, fellowships, etc. And so I think with all the changes that have been happening with federal funding, we're all concerned, what's going on, what are we going to do, et cetera. And now we have a new leader, Dr. Dimitrios Karamikos, who is the Vice President for Research and Graduate Studies. And so I know he hasn't been in the job too long, but I thought it would be good for us to hear from him, kind of where he sees us working together and where are we going in these changing times. So, Dr. Karamikos, take it away.
Thank you. So, just FYI for everybody, I did ask Dr. Gregory for permission to keep the presentation short. So don't get mad if I don't have a few slides, and then hopefully we'll have a conversation and I can take any questions and I'll try to answer as best I can. So, can you see my slides? Okay. All right. So this is the current org chart, and we walk through individual teams on the next few slides. But I want you guys to get an idea of how things look right now. So from left to right, the HSC next is the team that you all aware of, and on the research areas of strength. We put the research core under because that's utilized from faculty and students across the board. So it's considered one of our strengths, and we'll talk about how that looks in the future. DLAM, the annual facility, the operations for research operations, which includes the communication team. And then you have the finance and administration. So we put the OSP, the Office of Sponsored Programs, under the leadership of Mazen Marakat, who leads our finance team. If you think about it, grants have significant, it's a lot of finance involved. So we think that this team will work better and operate better when they're adjacent or next to the finance team. The one thing that is added here is the graduate studies, finance administration. As you know, one of the new things under the Division of Research and the VPR's office is graduate studies. So the finance piece and administration is also added to our chart. That team is going to grow as we grow, and hopefully we'll be able to keep up with the growth. I know pharmacy is coming out with a ESD program, and Becky's here, so congratulations to her and the team. And then research compliance, we used to have the expert control and research outside of the compliance team. So this is one integrated team. Again, this is meant to be a change for efficiency and better coordination among the team members. And this team is led by Tanya Garland. So this is the mission and the vision as you know them from our website. Ultimately, we're here to support the research enterprise and also make sure that we follow the policies, we are compliant, we don't get ourselves into any kind of trouble. And for those of you who know me, I'm a big supporter of collaboration and multidisciplinary. I think we do some of that. I have my thoughts how we can do better, and we can talk about it as well today. But this is going to be critical as we move forward and as we experience the headwinds from the federal government. So these are the slides, couple of slides that will show you the specific units within the items that we saw on the org chart. So under risk compliance, we have things like the IRB, IPOC, the risk compliance office, the finance administration that includes entry from the sponsored programs to business relations, finance administration, the REAP program, HSC Next, which is basically our innovation ecosystem, the pipelines, the innovation labs, startup labs, and things like that. The institute centers and areas of strength, nothing's changed here. The Foreign Institute, Center for Policy, and HSC core labs all part of our strengths currently. So these are some metrics that I thought this group would like to see or hear about. Currently, you can see we're tracking $123 million in terms of awarded grant funds. We are projecting 3% growth. Now, this change, when this transition happened, it used to be a 5% growth projection. We changed it to be a little bit on the safer side with everything that's happening. In terms of awards, and we'll talk about what areas could be at risk as things come from the federal government. But this university has seen some grants being canceled or stopped, but we have not seen at the level that we feared at the beginning. But of course, this is an ongoing situation. We don't know where this is going to start. But this is where we're tracking right now. We hope that 3% growth is going to be feasible, and in the future, I'll update you. You'll get the updates, as often as we possibly can from our office, as well as through the HSC town calls. In terms of research expenditures, we're looking at $107 million currently. Again, 3% growth is projected here. This 3% is not an arbitrary value. It is in collaboration with the president, our CFO, in the cabinet. So this is a collective sort of target that we thought will stay on track even during this difficult times. This is some data that some of you may or may not have seen in the past. So it gives you an idea of the number of grants submitted, the number of grants awarded, not awarded, and some of the funding. I find this slide interesting, and I share this with the panelists during budget hearings. We've seen less grants being submitted compared to a few years back. Interestingly enough, those years, 2020, 2021, which is during COVID, and I've heard stories from colleagues that, when you're doing COVID, they had time to write more grants. So that's hence the increase. But if you think about our total amount of dollars that we see, the growth that we see as a research enterprise, but we're submitting less applications. So what does that tell us? It could be a variety of reasons. It could be that we are more successful. So, we are trending at a higher percentage success rate. Or it could be that's concentrating within less, smaller number of individuals that are less successful. So this is something that I have asked the team to look deeper in, so for us to gain a better understanding why this is happening. If it's happening because there's a lack of support or a lack of resources, whether that's equipment or financial resources, it would be good for me and the team to know what's lacking. So that's something to keep in mind as we have these discussions today. Even in the future, of course, I know the ADRs have ideas and thoughts, and you all have seen some changes being made on the research advisory council. We can talk about them as well. But I think this slide is very clear. So you're all familiar with the idea of, or the proposal from the government that we're going to go to a model where the 15% indirect cost flat recovery would be for all institutions and universities across the country. So these are some risk areas that, we think the impact will be high, medium, or low. So research infrastructure, the first of the list, is a very likely scenario that will have a significant impact for our campus. You're talking about core facilities and operations that will not be sustainable without any major support from the division or from outside, from other units, the provost office, the president's office. This is something, the equipment are expensive, the contracts that support and maintain the equipment are expensive, the personnel that runs it. So that we think it's a high risk area. Personnel stability, If you're on soft-funded roles, that can be a problem, depending on what is the impact that's coming through federal government. Compliance oversight, as you can imagine, if you lose personnel within compliance, the division, across the campus, it could increase exposure to significant risk when the audits come around. In terms of being competitive for grants, if you're losing core facility, if you're losing personnel in the lab, the most likely scenario is going to be harder to be competitive or gain, gain the awards, the research awards. Some budget strain is expected within the academic units. The ability or our ability to fill the financial gaps will lead to some strain in the system, not just within the division, but also within the provost office. Faculty retention and reputation, we think that's possible. There's a possible risk of losing top talent to better funding institution. That is to be discussed because if everybody goes to 15%, larger institutions that have had 70 and 80% as the indirect rate, cost rate, will lose more money. However, they can have deeper pockets, right, doing endowments and things like that. So that's something we have to see. I have it as a medium impact here, but it can escalate quickly. Strategic risk growth. I'm in the opinion that at times of turmoil and when everything looks, a little bit less optimistic, you don't just stop and you don't stop investing in your people, and you don't stop investing in research. In fact, you should be doing the opposite. And for those of you who have read or maybe some of the business models out there, know that some of the most successful companies out there, they did exactly that when everything looked to be going the other way. So I'm thinking that we should not stop investing, incentivizing the growth of our research enterprise, our students, our faculty, to the extent that it is possible with what we currently have. And I think if we can maintain that, we're going to come out on the other side as a stronger team and better prepare for what appears, what's going to be the new norm and everything settles. There is also a risk or possible risk with our trainees. It could disrupt their research and the research education, as well as you're all aware of the international student situation and what's happening there. So again, those impact grants, if you would like, they can change almost on a daily basis depending on what actually happens. So as a leadership, as a cabinet, we are monitoring those changes. None of this has actually passed at the federal government level. This is initial suggestion, recommendation from the government, but nothing is official yet. And you have all been sending me emails and articles, and I appreciate that. Some of them I was aware of. Some of them were news to me, so I appreciate you. You can keep them coming. So if we go down to 15%, our impact will be about $6 million. If we go somewhere in the middle, which I've heard, both from DC as well as other sources, that the likely scenario is not going to be 15, it's going to be probably closer to 25 or 30. Maybe looking at $3 million impact for this university based on the current funding. So at the leadership level, we are developing a funding plan for bridge. You can imagine they're not going to be able to bridge the whole campus, right? So, but we are developing contingency plans. We are preparing for the worst case scenarios. It's a big team. Is preparing as well as together as a leadership team. We want to make sure that whatever happens, we are prepared for it, and we're not just we try to be proactive here. But those are just some numbers to give you an idea what we're looking at. Some accomplishments. This is, I thought this would be good for you to see and appreciate some of the work that's done that perhaps does not get enough exposure, but some of them maybe you're not aware of. For example, this is the finance team. We have completed six reviews, 6 audits. We have a couple of going on right now. We have seen no findings. We're doing very well on those. The team is creating task force. I know we're working with the ADRs for their personalized task force. We have created the MCAT project, which, as you know, has multiple subcontracts and all of these. So the idea here is for the leaders, the chairs, and the deans to be, and the ADRs to be able to click on the link, look at the dashboards, live data, and get the information they want, which I think will help target the future plans and make the database decisions. So this is the REAP program. You can see the investment over the years clearly. This is before my time. The awarded faculty highlights at the bottom. These are one-on-one awards, meaning the grant that we supported, and we know that the ROI, the return on investment, was attached to that grant. We're not looking at the overall impact of the college because they're expanding the research. If that makes sense to me. So on this slide, you know, and I'm assuming this is going to come in Q&A, but if it doesn't, you know, the changes made at the research advisory council. This is a model that you will find with the Department of Defense, for example, level, that we have the advisory council that reviews the draft, makes recommendation to a strategic unit. In that unit that looks at, okay, those are all the grants. Let's say the first 3 match up, line up with the strategy. So then we're willing to spend the money. Sometimes, you know, even if you have the best score, if that grant doesn't fit with the strategy where we're going, where we would like to go, where the team strengths are, then the committee could recommend that we fund the second on the online themselves. So one is scientific merit, and one is aligned with strategy and the mission for the division as well as the university, as well as the system level. PLAM, again, under the leadership of Dr. Daniels, the team is fantastic. A lot of the personnel have gained certifications. They have the Ticket Lab software that is almost fully implemented, and that will provide a great amount of help when it comes to operations and administrative aspects of DLAM. And for those of you who were there, Dr. Daniels was recently recognized for 35 years of dedicated service. So really happy to have him on our team. OSP, so OSP, like I said, is under the finance team now. We are streamlining several of the mechanisms and the operations. We're looking for efficiency. We're not looking for cuts, personal cuts. They're busy, and as we grow as a research community and enterprise, they will get busier. But we need to make sure that we serve our faculty, we serve our students. I have had conversation with some of you about training grants, contracts, things like that. These are all key initiatives to make sure that we don't put roadblocks on the progress. We don't make everybody's life harder. And being someone that have my own lab, I definitely don't want those roadblocks, because that's going to make my life even harder too. So we are developing onboarding training tools for new team members. This is something that as a division, we don't do a very good job onboarding our faculty members that come in, as well as staff members that serve within the sponsorship program. So more to come on that. Some of you are aware of those initiatives and have provided feedback, so I appreciate your The compliance, they achieved full accreditation of the Human Resource Protection Program, so this is fantastic news. We are working, I'm aware, or I was aware of the problems within IRB prior to this transition. The team knows this is a priority to me. It's a priority to the leadership. So we need to fix that. I think they're doing a great job. The conflict of interest, this is conflict of interest in training, presentation, raising awareness is something critical. We don't want to find ourselves in a not complying situation. And so we have partners, as you know, JPS is partnering with us and IRB. So that team is growing and getting stronger. And the core lab, I think you all know about the small animal region 4 designated as a reference site, and there will be more sort of announcements around that. So this puts us as first site in Texas, 1 of 5 in the United States. So exciting to be a part of this. We have the data science internship that was launched in January. We have the high performance computing that is to be with us soon, within fall of 2025. There will be some incentives and some free ability to use it for free at the very beginning. And from there on, we'll develop a strategy moving forward that this will help announce the people that work in this space. And HSC next, we have several startup companies as part of the Next Innovation Labs. We have completed the SBR Phase 0 program supported 100 local companies. Some collaborations with HSC that have been established as a result of that. So this is something we need to look at as we move forward. We're all aware of our dependence on NIH funding, and looking at 90% of our research dollars come from NIH, and given what's happening, this is something we definitely have to work on and diversify our portfolio. The proposed value for 40% cuts at the NIH level, about $14 billion, and also close from going from 21 institutes to down to 8. So those kind of things will call for us to respond, to adapt and move forward. So you're paying attention. So if you have any new thoughts, any concerns, please reach out. I'll do my best to respond. So in terms of, if you like, major strategic priorities, and this is the last slide, we want to establish the growing research endowments. The division does not have an endowment, which, it could be, it will be something that can retain or attract new talent. And it's the funding source that, once you establish it, you have it. Now more than ever, we have to align the research expenditures to drive innovation. We need to be able to not only work with basic science space, we need to work with the community focused research. We have the majority of our colleges are professional colleges. We have to be able to incentivize their work as well as continue to grow our basic science. This next bullet point, this came from question from the president, the first time I met with him talking about this position. What do you want to be? Where do you want to take us? I told him that I would like for us to be regional leaders in X number of research areas. We have 7 strengths here that you are aware of: brain, eye, neuroscience, and several cardiovascular. It's not too far-fetched to believe that we can be regional leaders. So that's a goal that's not going to come, in 2 months. That's something that we can strive for. And then lastly, this relates to the graduate studies. at the university. Um, the new trends in higher education are demanding. This is conversations that where we had them with previous leadership. None of those are wasted. There's significant amount of data collected. And myself and Dr. Provost are working towards establishing looking at our future and make sure that our graduate tradition remains strong. I'm going to stop here and
So, Dr. Karamikos, we've got a couple questions in the chat already. One is, are we still aiming for R2 designation? The threshold is at least 20 doctoral research degrees awarded in a single academic year and at least 5 million in research.
Yes, I mean, that's that law. There's no reason to change that law. You know, we cut some of the incoming students this year to be a little bit more conservative and acknowledging of what could be coming. You know, the 2-year support from the provost office, which was established in the previous leadership, has not changed. And I don't think there's an interest from anybody at the leadership to change it. So trying to maintain that and also continue to grow our student body is something that may be tricky in the future. But you basically are asked to project a couple of years down when you enroll new students. So we're a little more conservatives, and we'll see this next year where we are when the decision time is here. But yeah, we still, that goal is still.
Second question, are industry-sponsored clinical trials included as a source of revenue for research?
Currently or in the future? Are we talking about whether we have those, or are we talking about the we are collecting? So if you had industry projects, right, those are contracts, and we do charge indirects for those activities. We don't have active clinical trials, but we have people that do research and participate clinical activity studies. So yeah, we do have this collaborations. Definitely. We don't have too much of those, but we definitely need to incentivize and good one.
At one point, there was a clinical trials group in the Office of Research. I had some experience with that. And we managed to generate a lot of income to the HSC, to the clinical departments. And it covered the costs of the clinical research coordinators and also part of the cost for the investigators. Something to think about as you look forward to a big cut in your overhead.
You know, you and I should maybe have a conversation. I was asking, I'm trying to contain the historic facts about that clinical trial team and why and how it was dismantled, what was the thinking behind that. I don't have all those facts, but I'm trying to piece them together. I will share with you all that talking to the president with his background and his passion around the clinical research, this is something that we are looking to work on to move the kind of thing. But Mike, if you have those historic facts, I would love to talk to you.
I don't know as I have the history, but I certainly have some experience with it, both from the industry side and at HSC. So okay. I'd be happy to share whatever I can with you.
Great, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, we have a question about, you discussed REAP projects needing to align with DRI strategic goals, but the goals you present are very broad. What would not fit?
What would not fit?
Yeah, that's the question.
Well, so, okay, so the new RAC team is going to meet today, right, or shortly after this one. So it's going to be the first meeting for the team. What I'm going to tell them is that we need to broaden what we offer to campus. Right now, if you look at the stuff, the seed grants that we have, they're really targeting basics wet lab science. It doesn't incentivize industry-based, community-based. It doesn't incentivize cutting across campuses, UNT Denton, and things like that. You all have seen the collaboration with UNT Denton for our students to go to the research day, and Paula doesn't know that is coming her way about reversing that and having them participate here. But I had a conversation with their vice president for research, and there's significant excitement about how we work and share funding for proposals that bring together two investigators from the two councils. So those are opportunities that we can look for growth and expansion. I don't think I have anything in mind that doesn't belong or doesn't fit. I want to provide the opportunity for the colleges and institutes to see where those research intramural grants fit within their team, and then it's really up to them and the faculty to apply and obtain funding.
Okay, sticking with the REAP theme.
Mm-hmm.
Any information where the current REAP submitted grants are in the review process? I believe a few were submitted this semester. Also, what is the status of the clinical core?
So the grants currently are not being reviewed until the new RAC has had a chance to discuss where the future takes us. Like I said, the first meeting is today. My hope and my plan, and that's what I'm going to tell them, is that by September 1, all this has to be done, decided, and announced to the campus so everybody knows what we'll do in the next fiscal year. The clinical core, as far as I know, this is still happening. Dr. Lee Johnson, Dr. Gregory, they're all involved. I got my annual report a few weeks back, and I'll be reaching out to the leaders to discuss. I don't have an update.
Okay. There was one-time push to launch an effort by HSC Next to coordinate campus on identifying student internship opportunities. Any update or plan to continue the effort?
Yep, absolutely. Internships are something that when I started the intern dean, and I thought I saw Jonathan here earlier, it's something that the students are asking for and they want to, and I know the provost is very supportive. I mean, the president is. It's something that we have to look at. One of the challenges with the internships in most of your PIs here is the concept of are you allowing a student that is in your lab to go and do internship for a few months? And what does that look like? Both financially as well as research progress and things like that. So I think the idea and the concept is something we need to establish. But how we get there, I think we need to have honest discussions and make sure that everybody's comfortable with what we're doing. But from the student's perspective, this is something that we don't do a good job and we have to do more. So I'm not found that.
Okay, another question. When will the members of the RAC and RSC be disclosed publicly?
That's coming very soon. And it will be on the website and you will all be aware of it. Just like that.
Okay, more questions? Any more questions? JK, thanks you for sharing this information.
No,
And-
thank you. Oh, I thought there was more. Thank you.
Any changes to the centers?
Changes meaning if we had more centers or less? Is that a question?
Becky, what is the question?
Sorry, I could have been more clear. That I saw Center for Health Policy was still on the list, so there's just no changes in the current structure, the way we have centers and institutes. Is that where we are?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Hmm?
Any other questions?
Always, I was sharing the whole time. Oh, you said Tom start. Just realized.
So I'm going to remind everybody, this is recorded. It'll be on the REAP website. So if there's something you missed, or some of us were kind of squinting to read the org chart, you can reread it on the REAP website, okay? And we had 60 people on this presentation, so there's a lot of interest. Thank you, Dr. Karamikos, for this presentation. If there's no
Thank you
more
for
questions,
giving me the floor, and if there's in time, Paula, you can bring me back depending on what, what we hear from the university.
I think that's a good idea. You know, things are changing so rapidly in with federal funding. I think we may need to revisit this like in the fall when some of the dust may have settled and we may have a better idea what's going on with the indirects, et cetera.
Absolutely. You know where to find me, so just let me know. We'll put something in.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you all.
Bye.